The final classic of the season is upon us. Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel. You join us for our weekend preview, coming to you slightly later than usual, but we've got a video out to you anyway. Like I say, we've got the final classic of the season, the Betfred St Ledger on Town Moor at Doncaster on Saturday. Really looking forward to what looks a really interesting puzzle. Be interesting to hear what myself and Jack have to say on the race when we get to that. We're going to cover 4 races from Doncaster, the first 4 races from Doncaster on Saturday, with a couple of competitive looking Group 2s, as well as the big one, the St Ledger. And the first race we start off with is the 150 at Doncaster, the Betfred Champagne Stakes, the 7 furlong Group 2 contest for the 2-year-olds. And our favourite in the race is Rosalian at 8 to 15, Iberian 7 to 2, Mountain Bear 14 to 1, Sunway 16 to 1, and the outside of the lot is the Alice Haynes trained Power Mode at 40 to 1. Jack Rosalian's been very impressive on his 2 starts. Really was impressed when I was there at Ascot on the Saturday of King George Day when this horse went and won. Richard Hannon does love to run horses in this race. There's a good record in this race, and probably, I know it's not a decent price tip, but probably should be winning this.
Yeah, I'm not too fond of him as most people are, I'd say. There's definitely lofty expectations there, of course. Blue Point out of a new approach mare. Blue Point only raced on soft or heavy ground once when he was 4th at Haydock, beaten 8 lengths by Harry Angel. I think he's probably got a little bit to prove on the ground. I know Richard Hannon said the ground was plenty quick enough for him at Ascot. I think that has to be a little bit of a worry. I think by Saturday it's probably going to be sticky, dead ground by then. He's a half-brother to Needle Lace, who only raced once on soft ground on debut and was 8th of 9th. You can't really take too much out of that. Blue Point, it looked like, tried to stay away from slow ground, and of course New Approach didn't really mind soft ground. So I think that does have to be a question mark, though, as it does for Iberian, who I know William Buick, when he got off after Goodwood, said that the soft ground actually blunted his speed. I think Iberian has a lot of ability, but if this was on good ground, I'd definitely fancy him to probably actually force it up to Rosalian, but I don't think so here. I'm actually going to be with Someway. The Dave Menwesia trained Someway just on the basis of the ground. He was very impressive at Sandown. I mean, just wasn't on a going day at Ascot behind Rosalian last time out. He hung right, stopped very quickly. But he's a brother to Sealaway, of course, who won the Jean-Luc Lagardère on heavy ground. We know he's a capable 2-year-old. I mean, looking at Sealaway, he was 5th in the Arc on heavy ground, won the Champion Stakes on good to soft ground, and some ways Dam also won on very soft ground. So I'm going to take a chance that he's a little bit better than his price suggests at 16 to 1, and hopefully he'll be able to take a step forward. Conditions are in his favour. There's a little bit of a question mark over the top 2. Of course, they are the ones to beat, but hopefully Someway can take a step forward.
And David Manuzia, his horses do like this soft ground. They often come to their own during the autumn campaign as well, so worth keeping an eye on those. A really excellent case there made by Jack, and it's almost like I was watching racing TV all over again. Who saw that the other night on Tipstar for Racing TV? Jack, an excellent job. Everyone down in the comments, you can put a well done to Jack in there. How was that, Jack?
Yeah, it was a magnificent experience. It was great to go to Kempton. It was actually my first trip to Kempton.
Oh, really?
Amazingly enough. But no, it was a great little evening. 5 terrific other contestants as well. Congratulations to Katie, who won. Definitely a deserved, worthy winner there. She'll go on to bigger and better things, no doubt. So no, it was a terrific night, and hopefully we can go on to pick a few winners today.
Yeah, well done to Katie. Yeah, it was a fantastic evening listening to the guys talk through their runners. I'm going to say that Jack was robbed, but yeah, well done, Katie. Superb. And like you say, Jack should go on to bigger things. Your first appearance at Kempton is my first appearance at Doncaster this Saturday. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's move on to the 225 then. Doesn't get more difficult than this. A 5.5 furlong Betfred Portland, which is a handicap. It's a Class 2 event, and Call Me Ginger is the 8 to 1 favourite here. That shows you how competitive it is. Happy Romance 11 to 1, 12 to 1 about Chipstead, Kings Lynn, Mackinac, 14 to 1 about Aberama Gold, Get It, and Kim and Grace, along with Live in the Moment, and 16's Bar. Now, I quite like one in here. You've already put up one horse that Oshie Murphy's riding, and I'm going to put up another. I think Kings Lynn is going to run a really decent race on Saturday here. 12 to 1 currently for the Boarding Yard. Obviously, this horse was previously owned by Her Majesty the Queen, or was His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen. So they sold the horse, and I just think this horse, like, you can make excuses for every runner in the Stewards Cup at Goodwood. Everything, you can cut that. It was just horrendous ground. Like, any horse that ran badly in that I can make an excuse for. But prior to that, ran a really good race at Ascot, was hampered plenty enough, had to switch a couple of times, and I do think this horse is becoming really well handicapped off 104. Now, was a non-runner the last day, and I've got a feeling they're making sure that conditions are just perfect for this horse. I mean, it was quick ground when they pulled this horse out as a non-runner, and I just think they're waiting for the conditions to be perfect off this mark, and I think on Saturday with the soft going, it's going to be right up this horse's street. I think 12 to 1 is a really fair price. I could see King's Lynn running a massive race on Saturday. I'm actually quite strong for a Portland. Not like overly strong, but to be kind of confident in a Portland, I've got a fair bit of confidence level that King's Lynn will run a big race. So 12 to 1 each way, I think it's a fair enough bet. Jack, how did you look at this?
Yeah, no, I think this is a cracking race, and I've got quite a strong fancy in it as well, actually. I think Kim and Grace, the 4-year-old filly, I think she's handicapped to go very, very well. She's just been sliding down the ratings this turn. She's now off a mark of 87, which is just £2 higher than she was when she absolutely hacked up at York last year, winning by 3 lengths on good to soft ground. I think this 5.5 furlongs, nearly 6 furlongs, is going to be perfect for her on soft ground. Of course, she's by Profitable, who himself won on soft ground and heavy ground as well. But last time out at York, it was 5 furlongs, quick ground. She was only beaten 2.25 lengths of Ryan Moranball, but she was staying on at the line there. That was a very fast 5 furlongs. I think this dead, sticky ground, which we're probably going to have, will definitely suit her. I think she's also she's closely related to Talinsky, who has a lot of form with Give Underfoot as well. I think this slight step up in trip, I think the soft ground's definitely going to suit her. And I think 14 to 1's a humongous price. I think she's handicapped to go well. She'll like conditions, and I think she'll be able to go very well with George Rook on board.
Yeah, Richard Hughes is in really good form as well. Who saw the horse at Kempton the other night? Jack, you were there. Fair Angelica. I know he had a double on the card, but Fair Angelica, the horse came from the clouds. I gave it no chance turning in and flew home. Looks a really smart 2-year-old, actually, for Richard Hughes. Fair Angelica, I'm sure they've got high expectations with that one there. Let's move on now to another Group 2 from Doncaster, which is the Betfred Park Stakes. This here is over 7 furlongs, where Spycatcher has been well supported all throughout the week. 13 to 8 favourite. Audience is 7 to 2. Sondrine is 9 to 2. Biggles 11 to 2. 12 to 1 About Jumbly, and Pogo is 28 to 1. Jack, like I say, Spycatcher has been well supported. Even sort of this horse was around the 5 to 2 mark after declarations were made, and then backed into 13 to 8 favourite. Now, Maurice de Guiche runs second over there at Dover. I thought that was really impressive. And prior to that, won a Group 3 in easy style over there as well. And then you go back to his form at Newcastle, where he finished second on the all-weather. But he just looks like an improving kind of 6 to 7 furlong horse, doesn't he?
Yeah, look, he definitely is an improving 6 or 7 furlong horse. We saw that out in France, of course, when we beat Batwan and was second last time out. He's plenty short enough, though, for me, I think. And there's definitely one I think you can take him on with. I think Audience has got to be the shortest price of the week. And personally, I think the worst price of the week. Not shortest in terms of, obviously, price, but what on earth is he doing at 7 to 2? He's just not going to like the ground whatsoever. Look, he was last of 6 in the Lennox Stakes, bounced back on really quick ground at York last time out behind Kinross. But I just can't see him liking the ground at all. Everything he's related to hasn't really performed on soft ground at all. Of course, he's by Ifraj, who didn't really like to run on soft ground, was a non-runner on good ground, I think, at Newbury back in the day, when I think the ground was actually, they thought the ground was too soft for him. So no, I think Audience is a horrendous price. It could be a place lay for me there, and if he does take a step forward on this soft ground, fair play, I can put my hands up there. But the one for me is Biggles, definitely. Was ahead of Spycatcher in the Victoria Cup back in May at Ascot, over 7 furlongs on soft ground. Won't mind the ground. Was second to Baradar on heavy ground at Doncaster, and we know Baradar is definitely a mud lover himself. I think he'll be able to take another step forward. Of course, he's got plenty to find at the ratings, but Ryan Moore's back on board, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Biggles reverse that form once again.
Yeah, speaking to Robbie Wilders yesterday, it's his nap of the weekend as well. Biggles 11 to 2. Look, I don't really want to put a tip up in this race. It would be Spycatcher. Those of you who got the 5 to 2, then fair play, because I think he probably is a really decent 5 to 2, 2 to 1 chance. I think 13 to 8 is shortening up enough now. It wouldn't surprise me actually if he did go off a little bit shorter as well with the Carl Burkyard and the form that they're in, and up north at Doncaster. So look, I would be with Spycatcher. I do think he'd take the beating. I do agree with you. I do think Biggles is the big danger, and I agree with you in the fact that I think Audience is a woeful price as well. So yeah, I'd be taking on Audience, and I'd probably be playing the forecast on Spycatcher and Biggles in the Betfred Park Stakes. Now we move on to the big one. We can have a bit of a chat about some of the runners in here, which is the Betfred St Leger Stakes over a mile and 3/4 at 3:35 at Doncaster, where the Frankie Dettori mounted Arrest is the 7-2 favourite. Continuous and Gregory are 4-1. Desert Hero, this would be a hell of a story if this were to go and win 5-1. Melrose Winner and supplement for the race at Middle Earth is 8-1. Chess Piece, the Godolphin entrant, is 12-1. And then you've got Jim Crowley, Sean Levy and Danny Tudhope aboard the free Aidan O'Brien outsiders in the field of Tower of London, Alexandropolis and Denmark. Free jockey bookings you don't always see with Aidan O'Brien, so fascinating to see. Lots to be said about this race, Jack. Like I said at the start of the preview, this is a massive, massive puzzle. Like, could this all play into Continuous's hands with a tactical race between the 4 Ballydor runners? Is Gregory going to make a complete comeback over this trip on ground like this after his run in the Great Vulture after going off favourite there? Is Arrest a well-backed favourite after Frankie Dettori took the mount? And are we just overlooking His Majesty the King and the Queen's horse? Like I say, this is a hell of a puzzle.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. It's a hell of a race. You've got Aidan O'Brien versus John Gosden. It's kind of the main story there. And, of course, Frankie Dettori jumping ship to get on Arrest and Kieran Schumark next year. It looks like Gosden's number one man going to be on Gregory. So it'll be definitely a point to prove there. There's stories left, right and centre. That's for sure. Arrest, I know, of course, at Ascot, there's the big question mark. Should he have even run in the King Edward VII? Probably wasn't ready for it. Bounced back in good style to beat Ching Shi. Ching Shi didn't run too well at Doncaster yesterday. I think she ended up being 4th in the end. So I think you do have to question Arrest. Of course, he's going to like the ground. It'll be interesting to see if it is dead ground or proper soft ground. Regardless, I think it will take a bit of getting. Don't think it'll be a problem for Arrest. Likewise, Continuous, who of course has that intriguing pedigree, who's closely related to, I think it's National Ballet, who won on yielding to soft ground over a mile and a half. I don't think this step up and trip will be too much of an issue for him. I thought the ground was going to be too quick for him at York last time out, but he stayed on well, and I think this switch to a softer surface is only going to suit Gregory. I think you have to put a line through him with the ground. I think you have to look elsewhere. He looked like he was perfect for the race a month ago, but unfortunately with the rain that they've had, I think it's going to take some getting. There's 2 for me against the front 3 in the market. One is Desert Hero. I counted him off the last twice, but look, I think it seems like a formula that's working. Tom Marquand on board, travelled beautifully, I thought, at Goodwood last time out. I don't see any reason why he's not going to suit this step up and trip. So I do think Desert Hero can go well. I don't think it's too much of a case you need to really make. He's won on heavy ground at Redcar. He's won on soft ground at Haydock and soft ground at Goodwood. I think this extra step up and trip and this soft ground shouldn't be a problem. And likewise, who was second in that race, Chess Piece, is over double the price at 12-1. James Doyle's on board. I think James Doyle is absolutely flying at the moment. Chess Piece always looked like this step up and trip was going to suit. I think the ground was probably a bit too quick for him at Ascot in June. Then went to Hamilton, of course, over a mile 3. It still looked like that. Still looked like he wanted further. It did likewise as well. He's going to keep galloping and galloping when he was second at Goodwood. So for me, I think that's the piece of form that I'm going to be taking from the Gordon Stakes. And I'm going to be taking Desert Hero and Chess Piece against the front 3 in the market.
Yeah, 1-2 in the Gordon Stakes was a really good race there at Goodwood, and like I said, James Doyle's been in flying form. He's obviously had the opportunities with Aidan O'Brien with Warm Heart last twice. Unfortunately, he's probably going to get thrown off the horse come the Breeders' Cup Fillies and Mares when she goes out there. You'd like to see Ryan on, but he's done an excellent job with that horse winning the Yorkshire Oaks and the Prix Vermeil last weekend. I do give Chess Piece a chance. I think this horse is definitely an each way chance in here. Desert Hero, I've now comes the fact that I've just overlooked the Gordon Stakes form. I do think that these two are the danger, but I'm quite sweet on Continuous. I know this horse is by a Japanese sire who really love rattling quick ground, but look, this horse won as a 2-year-old on soft ground. We've got to remember that. Whether he was just a class above the horses that day and got through and wasn't sort of his ideal conditions, but was just too good for them, I don't know. However, the Damn Fluff, look, she wasn't sort of an exceptional mare, but she ran on soft ground. She liked running on soft ground. So I'm quite happy to see his horse run. If Aidan O'Brien lets his horse run on the conditions, then you'd imagine he'd be pretty confident that he'll find these all right. And you've got the fact that you've got these three Aidan O'Brien runners all in the purple silks of Westerberg, Tabor, Magnier and Smith, which is always fascinating. You'd often see with Aidan O'Brien multiple runners, kind of the orange and blue or the navy blue in there as well, but they're all in the purple. And I just think this could tactically be run to suit for Continuous, set up perfectly. Obviously sat off a strong place in the Great Vulture and came home as strong as you like and won it as comfortably as he liked. So yeah, Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore once again after an excellent weekend last weekend over in Ireland. I think they can go and do the business, but I do think Chess Piece is overpriced.
Do you think there's a slight stamina doubt with Continuous? Of course, Fluff being related to maybe it was the Dam of Saxon. Is there a slight doubt that he is going to get them on 6?
It possibly is, but I do think the pace was strong. And I know this is soft ground, so it is going to be testing, but I do think that this horse came off a strong pace at York, and I just don't think this horse was stopping at the line. I think this horse hit the line hard enough, and I think there is more to come. I don't think Ryan asked for everything that day, and I just got a feeling that Aidan O'Brien is imagining that this trip is perfect. Now, obviously, there were discussions weeks ago about Save the Last Dance potentially coming here. She's not here. She would have loved soft conditions, and she'll go elsewhere, but Aidan's quite happy to have this as his number one in the race, and I'm quite happy to be on his number one here. Do we make a rest what I call a Frankie Dettori price in here? What price would you make a rest if Frankie wasn't on it, Jack, or do you think it's a fair price?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Trying to price it up without the Frankie factor.
Because Gregory was the leading Gosden hope prior to Frankie. Obviously, like Ante-Post, it was Gregory at the top of the market, and a rest, I think, a point behind. But now they've kind of flip flopped.
Yeah, I think that's also to do with the ground. Of course, when we've seen Arrest both at Chester and Newbury on ground with Give underfoot, I mean, he has been pretty impressive. I think that has something to do with it. And of course, as you say, the Frankie factor has something to do with it. I'd probably make him around 7-2, 4-1 to be fair. Probably joint favourites with Continuous, with Gregory probably going off 5-1 on the day.
Yeah, okay. So, Jack, you're going to be with Desert Hero and Chess Piece. They seem your plays. And I'm going to be with Continuous and Chess Piece in the St. Ledger. I'm actually going to use some of the Chess Piece form to go through my other selection for the weekend. You haven't actually got one. Your nap is going to be through the races that we have covered. But my nap actually comes at Chester, of all places, where, for everyone that remembers, the Chester May meeting was probably one of my best festival previews I've ever done. I think out of the race we covered, one loser, and the rest as winners. And I do like this race a lot. It's a listed race. It's the 205 there over a mile and a half, the Tote Stand Cup Stakes, where Blue Stocking is topping the market at 4-5 currently. Now, I do think she is the right favourite in there, the Rafe Beckett trained horse, but Sea of Roses, we go back right to the start of the flat season, where I think I actually put this horse up as an Ante-Post bet for the Oaks after winning at Saint-Cloud at 50-1 for the Boarding Yard. Now, this horse here, last time out, was actually against Chess Piece at Hamilton. Jack mentioned the form there. Finished second behind Chess Piece at Hamilton, and was in the red hot Ribblesdale that everyone's been talking about, with Warm Heart that won that race. Lumiere Rock was second, obviously won last weekend at the Curran. Blue Stocking was third that day, but Sea of Roses was fifth. Now, I just can't have the different, I know Jack likes to do this, but Blue Stocking at 4-5 and Sea of Roses in here at 10-1. There's no way there's that much of a difference in price. I think this horse would love some soft in the going as well. It's only going to suit this horse. And I just think this horse will run a massive race each way. I have backed the horse earlier in the week, where 3 places were available. There were 8 runners, but I'd imagine there are still bookmakers playing 3 places on a race where you can get only 2 through the official rules of betting. But I do think 10-1 is far too big about this horse. It's not my nap, but I am fairly sweet that in the 205, the opening race at Chester, Sea of Roses at 10-1 is far too big against the favourite Blue Stocking, and I'll also probably play the forecast there as well. Jack, nap time. Who is the best bet for you this weekend?
Hopefully the Rook, George Rook, will fly on board Kim and Grace. She's 14-1 for the Portland.
14-1 nap. We love to see those, and I'm not going to go as big. I'm going to go 4-1. I do think Continuous is going to be a class above in the St. Ledger. It's a bit of a risk, like I say, a puzzling race, but I've just got this feeling that Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore are going to land the Betfred St. Ledger on Saturday. And that's it for our weekend preview. We are going to be back next weekend. We'll have a weekend preview. We're going to run all the way up until Champions Day, and then we'll give you an update on what's going to be happening after for the jump season. So looking forward to that. As always, get your comments in down below. Let us know who you're backing this week, and do subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a like, and we will see you again next weekend. Thanks for watching.